Hello and welcome to today's video. We're talking all about the 10th gene key, which is titled Being at Ease. That sounds nice. As per usual, there's 3 parts to this key. Today we'll be going over part 1 of 2 of the shadow state of self-obsession. Then we'll get into the gift of naturalness eventually, and then sedimenting into the acidic state of being. Shadow state of self-obsession. Okay, well that naturally draws my mind to think all about the current paradigm we live in. One of Instagram selfies and me, very egocentric, capitalism, how can I make more money, be more attractive, have more wealth, have more things. As we all know, the ego has gone out of control, and so I think collectively escaping this shadow and transmuting it into the gift state of naturalness is key. So I'm excited to annotate and articulate this section, because upon reading it I had quite a bit of thoughts in correlation to where we currently are at as a collective. He starts off by saying, one of the deepest of all human issues is the notion of self-love. This 10th shadow brings continual focus to your own immediate environment, which is your body. What do I need to feel safe? What do I need to feel comfortable? What do I need right now? It's forgetting the collective, forgetting the all. And I like how in the beginning here, he says that the deepest of all human issues is self-love, which is much different than self-obsession. Self-love is the higher transmutation point of this shadow state of self-obsession. True self-love sees the intelligence and making sure not only am I taken care of, but so are those around me. Not only are my needs met, but so are those around me. True self-love finds purpose in giving and service. Whereas self-obsession, he says, is focusing continually on your own immediate environment, your body. Only being considerate towards satiating the needs of your own primal instincts, whether that's sex, food, shelter, water, and forgetting about those around you. Obviously, also, because we live in a more advanced society with technology these days, these primal needs have also kind of bled into, the need to be recognized on Instagram, the need to dress oneself in Chanel bags and other expensive paraphernalia. There's this obsession with the body, with the presentation of the self. How can I get validation, admiration, and energy from others to feel self-love, that fake form of self-love? He says, when you're embodied in this shadow state of self-obsession, your body actually tightens all of your life force and forces it inward. So it's not an evolution anymore, it's an involution. It's a downward spiral, it's an eating up of itself. It kind of made me think of cancer cells, how they run rampant. No, sorry, not cancer cells, autoimmune diseases. That's where the body is turning inward on itself, fighting against itself. It thinks it's some part that the enemy is actually itself, and it doesn't maybe consciously realize this. So when you're self-obsessed, once again, meaning you're only focusing on your own needs, wants, and desires, you're actually tightening up all of your life force. That can quite literally look like contraction, holding of the breath, not allowing air to flow in, air to flow out. So you can think of contraction, stress, someone who's very tense. This 10th shadow ensures individuals' survival, since it puts the safety of its own vehicle before anything else. So I guess the one pro of this shadow is that it does guarantee your survival. But then again, are we here to just survive, or are we here to live? And then this brings up the question to me of what's truly living. Because to me, I don't want to just barely survive. I want to lay my head down at the end of each night and not only have met my needs, but also feel grateful for all the miracles that came through that day. I want to really live. I want to really experience. So yes, this shadow state does allow you to survive, but it caps it right there. Once again, it's involution. It's not evolution. And I think at a deep subconscious level, we all desire experience wisdom that's harnessed through going through experiences and really living life. And these qualities, I think, emanate from the heart. But if we're stuck in these lower 3 survival centers and we're contracted, then yeah, we are going to get caught up, lost in the sauce of only just barely scraping by. He says, to see a person give their life for another or for a higher cause, right, to be of service, to quite literally give your energy, your life force, your attention, your time, your money to others, to be of service, is to see this 10th shadow transcended. So you're moving from self-obsession into the gift of naturalness when you start to become of service to others. Now it's not all just about me, survival. How can I just barely scrape by? It's about how can I generate joy for not only myself, but also those around me to experience. It becomes about cultivating and harnessing wisdom, sharing and emulating the Creator. So once again, to get into that gift frequency would be to put others first, to lead from behind, to have the question, how can I serve, on the heart every single day. And the more embodied, the more that question sits on your heart in every single moment. I think a nice way to start to invoke transmutation from shadow to gift is to each morning, something I do when I wake up in bed, is I roll around half awake, half asleep in that beautiful alpha brainwave, or is it theta? Theta, getting into alpha brainwave state. And I allow myself to observe the beauty around, whether that's me staring at the crease in the curtain as the morning light filters through, or honestly, sometimes I go like this and I feel how soft my hair feels. I just find something to focus on and say thank you for and observe the beauty in. And in doing so, you cultivate not only presence, but also gratitude for the day. So I do that, and I also try to ask my heart, ask God, invite in love, whatever way you want to say this. I'm referring to that thing inside of you and all around you. I talk to it, and I say, how can I serve today? And I mean it when I say it. It's not just, oh, how can I serve today? And then I get up and I get dressed. No, how can I serve today? I'm genuinely interested. So I generate an intention behind this question. And once again, the level of your intention is matched by the divine. So in showcasing my desire to really understand, to really know, what can I do today? How can I be guided to try to step more into this gift of naturalness, out of this shadow frequency of self-obsession? And then I'll sit there and I'll roll around and I'll be patient, I'll wait, I'll listen. I will shut off the mind, kind of let myself fall back into that sleepy state, knowing that an answer is going to come through, guiding me as to how I can serve. So this is a really nice way to start the day. I guess it's kind of a meditative technique, you could say. And once again, this is on a gradient to infinity. So you can infinitely be self-obsessed, or you can be on the other end of the spectrum, more natural, more natural, more natural. And then soon enough, it's not only in the morning that you're really genuinely wondering and asking with intention, how can I serve today? But it's throughout the day that this question seems to be asking you to ask of it. It's almost like source is calling to you. That's how I put it. So yeah, the divine matches your effort, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So as you showcase desire, divine showcases desire for you, and you move towards a more elevated point in this never-ending spectrum into the gift of naturalness. So it says, Richard Rudd, our legend that wrote this book, says individual differentiation. I like that word, differentiation. It's just so differentiation. Individual differentiation is the cornerstone of evolution itself. What a sentence. If we humans do not discover our own identity and uniqueness, we cannot transcend it. Wait a second, Richard Rudd. I thought you just said we had to take our attention off of the self and onto the service of others so that we can get out of this state of self-obsession. And now you're telling us that it's actually pinnacle for each individual to come into gnosis of their own uniqueness and identity and individual differentiation in order to transcend it? Yes, that is exactly what he's saying. It's quite paradoxical. Ooh, owie! An ant just bit me. Oh, that was not very nice. Anyways, might have to move spots here. Oh wow, there's a lot going on all of a sudden. Okay, I think we're good. I'm gonna sit up here though. So now my head's cut off, whatever. Anyways, as I was saying, yes, it's the great paradox of life that is referenced to within the beginning of this chapter, within this 10th gene key of being at ease. We must find the relaxation point within the confusion of this universal paradox, which is step 1, become self-obsessed. And then 2, he says, try to transmute that obsession into a genuine want to uncover your own unique individual differentiation. What does that mean? That means get to know yourself. What do you like? What foods make you... What activities make your heart smile? How do you uniquely express yourself in the way that you dress yourself? You have to become so aware of the self and the unique gifts that you have and your own identity in order to properly see it so that you can choose of your own free will to transcend it. You can't transmute that which you don't see. So this is really interesting. Part of evolution is involution. The more different we each allow ourselves to be, the more we operate as a unity, as one cohesive unit. So ironically enough, we must each authentically become realized in who we are in order to come together as a whole puzzle. So I kind of think about this like we must each become aware of which puzzle piece we are so that we know where we fit in the puzzle and the grand scheme of it all. And I'll just say included within this self-discovery is, how do I like to serve? So it's not as cut and dry as just self and just service to others. Part of getting to know the self is getting to know, how do I, Haley Snyder, as an individualized point of consciousness, like to serve the all? Personally, I like to sing for people now. That brings me joy. I like to lead workshops. I like to make these videos. I like to cook for my dad and write him silly cards and leave them in the fridge. I like to write heartfelt letters for random strangers. I like to make poetry and share my art in that way. These are the personalized, individual differentiation points that I like to use that are also of service to the all. What I just said may not resonate with you. Maybe you like to go volunteer at soup kitchens or babysit your neighbor's kids for free or help your friend move. I don't know. But the point is, there's a way to be your individual self and also be of service to others. I feel like a train is the affirmation of me saying that. So get to know the self. This will be the first contemplation of this video. Where do I find joy in being of service? I just gave you a few examples of my own self. And really sitting with this, I think, is very important in order to, once again, try to turn this coal of self-obsession into gold of the gift of naturalness. Oh, and here he notes it. I forgot. I read this chapter a few weeks ago. He says, human paradoxes. Here's a great human paradox, he says. That only through our very diversity can we arrive at our unity. Interesting. I just think that's already self-explanatory. And if you find that intriguing and it piques your interest, I invite you to meditate upon that sentence. Only through our very diversity can we operate as a unity. And he also notes here that there's forces that tug against evolution, and these forces coming from within keep us from experiencing our own true uniqueness. So he's referring to things like negative thought patterns, cycles that keep repeating themselves, patterns that don't serve, bad habits, addictions. These are the forces and the negative entities, the demons, the hell on earth that tug against evolution. This is the foundation of self-obsession, everything I just listed here. This is the kind of individual differentiation that is not constructive, that does not help us build blocks to create more love as a collective. Okay, and here's the second contemplation of the video that, forewarning, you can contemplate this the rest of your life. I often contemplate this. I actually update my model for this question every 2 months at least. I ask myself, what are my negative thoughts? Literally, I write them down. My neighbor Jerry hates me. That's a negative thought. Whatever, I'm not good enough for this job. I don't make enough money. You literally think about the negative thoughts that often come into your head and write them down. You think of the cycles that you're currently stuck in. I keep moving back to New York City. Negative habits. I keep drinking too much wine. I can't seem to stop watching The White Lotus on Netflix. And patterns. What things are continually coming up for you? I keep attracting narcissistic people into my life. Whatever it is. You literally make a list of all these so you can simply become aware of them. Because the first step to solving anything is casting the light of awareness upon it. So, take some time to sit with that if you feel so inspired. Once again, that's a prompt that, in my opinion, never expires. Unless for whatever reason you happen to knock yourself into enlightenment or acidic states within this lifetime. Basically, within this first section I've just talked about, the point to drive home is that to escape the shadow frequency of self-obsession, you must be brave enough to be yourself. Because who you actually are is the higher manifestation of individual differentiation, which, once again, according to this beautiful universal paradox, ironically enough, drives us into unity. We need your unique puzzle piece to create the cosmic puzzle. We need the natural, balanced, real puzzle piece that is you. That is me. That is Richard Rudd. That is your neighbor Jerry. That is your mother. That is your father. We need all of these puzzle pieces in order to create one coherent puzzle. Oh, wow. Sometimes I love flipping and I'm like, oh, that's how much I wrote for this chapter. Okay, so then ask yourself, why is it that I'm not brave enough to be myself? Why do I have a fear of being different? This is a real question, guys. Like, what are you afraid of? And then I ask myself, what am I afraid of? Is it because I think others won't like me? Or because everyone at school always wears skinny jeans and high tops and I don't want to be the only one to wear bell bottoms and flip-flops? Because I think others will judge me. Therefore, I'll be excluded. I won't have friends. I'll be left out. Like, really getting to the core root belief beyond why you aren't who you are is important. I'll just give you guys an example. For me, for years, I was trying to be a size I just wasn't naturally. And I asked myself, why is this? Because I worked in an industry that told me it had to be this way, or I wasn't going to be accepted, I wasn't going to make money. Therefore, I was going to lose my tribe of friends in New York, of people in New York, probably my apartment too, since I wouldn't be able to pay for it. And so it's all this fear-based consciousness of, I have to be this way, that I'm not naturally, in order to uphold the illusion of a job that's fulfilling and friends that have true connection with me. And then, now as I graduate out of that ill modeling reality, I realize, there is also a world in which here now that supports the way I am now. The version of me now is much more embodied within this individual differentiation than a past version of me. And there's a future me in the version that will be even more comfortable with who she is. And I'll be able to look back here and be like, oh my gosh, she had so much work to do. So my point is, it goes both ways infinitely. But asking yourself, why do I have a fear of being different? Who am I scared of? Who do I think is going to judge me? Why do I care what they think? What core belief is tied to this? Getting to that is important. And I just want to also note here that you can either do this through a masculine approach or a feminine approach. And by that I mean the masculine approach would be this: get your pen out, journal, really analyze, think, plot, plan, make a list. The feminine side of this would be simply setting the intention of God, source, love, mana, prana, shakti, whatever you want to call that thing inside of you and all around you. I would really like to understand and transmute this energy, this fear of being different. I don't really understand where it is, what it comes from, why it's there, but I'm ready to move past it and then sit in that meditation. And once again, you can't just say all of this on autopilot. You got to really genuinely mean it if you're going to be doing this feminine approach side. Both work equally as well. And it's a matter of resonance to you who's watching this, which approach you like. I myself like to use both energies, both sides. I think there's something fun and eloquent and playful about the masculine. This like journal, these contemplations, these videos, talking it out. But there's also something so important and deeper than language about the feminine meditative approach. He says this 10th shadow makes you obsessed with your own uniqueness and how to find it and how to follow it. Self-obsession is self-absorption. Instagram is the perfect example of this. How many times do you follow someone on Instagram, you go on their page, and it's all about them? I mean, myself included, right? So this is the perfect example of self-obsession, a lower frequency. He says the people that are very, very stuck in this cycle try to escape the crowd at all costs. They want to stand out. They want to be seen as different and cool and unique, but not in a high vibrational service-oriented way. This also makes me think of the romanticization, is that a word? You guys know what I'm trying to say. The romanticization of like, oh, no one understands me, I'm so different. You know, that kind of vibe, the emo vibe. It makes me think of that as well. which I've definitely had, like this, I'm addicted to sadness, like no one understands me. I remember I used to walk in the streets of New York and play this really like grunge, sad music and be like, no one understands me. I'm so broken and beautiful. Like that vibe, no, that means this is self-obsession. This is a shadow frequency. So yeah, anyways, I read that and kind of laughed as I thought about some of the moments in which I really flexed that shadow. He says you become so obsessed with yourself that you actually stop hearing or feeling those around you. Stop hearing, seeing, feeling those around you. It's all about you. Jiminy Christmas, Jesus Christ. This is like, yeah, really a throwback reading this chapter of me living in New York. And I think New York has a lot of this main character energy of like, oh, it's literally all about me. I walk into the room and everyone's looking at me. I'm walking down the street and everyone's trying to eavesdrop on my conversation. And anyways, yeah, made me think of New York City, honestly. Although I will say this shadow can be anywhere in the world, not just New York City. You actually enjoy making it difficult for people to relate to you. Once again, this is like, my pain is different than yours. It's worse than yours. It's deeper than yours. You'll just never understand. These people actually are addicted to the victim state consciousness. And once again, for me, this was, I mean, gosh, it was just my whole New York experience. This is so interesting to read this. You literally don't have enough space in your own psyche for others. And this wreaks havoc on all of your relationships. And then he says it, in case you haven't guessed already, self-obsession is known as narcissism. Yeah, I was waiting for him to drop that. So, yeah, narcissistic tendencies can be in anyone, whether they've been diagnosed with narcissism or not. I don't know if that's a proper diagnosis, but you know what I mean. It's on a sliding scale, narcissism. It's not as simple as you have it or you don't. We all have some of it. And yeah, it's when you look around others and all you see is things you'd like to change about them. You find it very hard to accept anyone else for their uniqueness, and you're trapped by your own reflection. Wow. So I think the most important contemplation of all the information I just spit at you is, how are your relationships? Really? Can you think of at least 3 people you're genuinely close with? Because, I think about this, and back when I lived in New York City, I had plenty of relationships, but the people I called best friends, we didn't really truly have an unconditional love present. I definitely didn't. I was more friends with people because of the way they made me look, or I made them look, or their status or my status. It was all this kind of shallow exchange. It was all centered around like, oh, what are we going to wear together? Where are we going to go? What are we going to drink? There was no real deeper connection. And if there was deep conversation, it had a stop point because of the narcissism that I had instilled, because of this shadow state of self-obsession. So your relationships are a direct reflection to you of how embodied or unembodied you are within this shadow frequency. By that, I mean the deeper your relationships are, the more you genuinely feel unconditional love, that means you're probably more towards the gift of naturalness. Vice versa being, if you have a lot of these kind of shallow, fake relationships that don't go so deep, that you feel like you can't trust, that you aren't vulnerable with, then more likely than not, you are operating within the shadow frequency of self-obsession. So that was a lot. Part 2 of this shadow state of self-obsession will be in the next video. That's a lot to think about, those contemplations I just threw at you. So I will see you guys next time. Love and aloha. Hey guys, thanks again for tuning in with me for this Gene Keys episode. I also just wanted to come on here and start promoting my one-to-one coaching that I offer to women and girls ages 16 to 35. If you've followed me on Instagram for a while, you might be a little bit familiar with my story. I was a model in New York City for 5 years, and whew, in that time frame, I did quite some damage. I developed a really severe eating disorder, body dysmorphia, chronic anxiety. Oh my gosh, I couldn't even go out to dinner without thinking about how much calories, how much I'd have to overwork out in order to compensate for what I was eating. All of those issues led to quite a depression and turned into PCOS, and I also lost my menstrual cycle for over 5 years. All of this amalgamation of issues led me to soon realize that something needed to change. I went through much work. Many people helped me to get to where I am now. And I'm so thrilled to say I'm living such a more abundant life, and I don't feel zapped and drained and fear of judgment anymore like I used to. I would love to offer what I've learned through my own embodied experience, the meditative techniques that have gravitated toward me, and the own verified games that I've made up and curated to help you walk home to more of you and who you really are, so that all of these things can stop draining your energy. You know, all the constant comparison to others and to your people on Instagram, all the over-analysis about working out and what you're eating or what you look like. All of these things are not what life's about, as cheesy as it sounds. And I would love to help you come into more unity with you if you struggle with any of these things and you're a woman or girl between the ages of 16 and 35. So feel free to reach out to me if one-on-one coaching sounds resonant. You can feel free to DM me through Instagram or contact me via email, both of which will be left below in the description box. So much love and aloha to you guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.